should be 1. Okay, I think it should be fixed now. Let's see. I'm gonna give it a couple of seconds. Sorry about that. I do see the audio working fine on my end, but am I hearing? Yeah, okay, good. The audio is a little low and the quality isn't as good. But that's just because I'm gonna keep it simple today. We're gonna go over the painting desk anyway. But yeah. Okay, good. We'll work with that for now. I think I can increase the volume a bit on my end. Hey John, thank you for being here. There's just like a 20-second delay. It's always confusing. I want to share with you what we're gonna paint today. So you can see it here, and I'll show you a cool sketch in a second. Okay, good. Thank you, Dusty. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bazo. Wow, on time today, hi Liron. Yeah, Bazo, this is a good one to be on time. Now let me check something real quick. I'm gonna switch over to my desk. We're gonna test the audio there. So 1 second. Okay, the audio should still work. Let me just confirm it a second. Hello? And then we'll continue. Yeah, good. It works. So I don't know, I set it up correctly. I don't know why it didn't work earlier. I really set it up correctly. It should have been good from the start, but in any case, here we are. Nina Art, hi from Serbia. I've been collecting courage to do some cityscape paintings and watercolors these days, so I'm happy to be here. It's like you're reading my mind every time with these lives. Yeah, that's cool. This is gonna be indeed a courageous one, I think, because it's a bit of a strange scene. Now let me, I do want to show you a big sketch of a big sketch version of what we're gonna do. Let's go over to the desk. I'm gonna show you the real thing, I think. I'm gonna show you the real thing. So here we are. Now I do have the stream here on my desk too. Yeah, good. So I can confirm the audio is indeed working. But yeah. So what we're gonna paint today is, so basically I have this big version of a sketch. Let me zoom out a bit. Sorry about that message. Charge the battery, ignore that. So we have this big scene. I want to paint this large watercolor. I sketched it out quite detailed. Let me just confirm again the audio. I know I'm a little paranoid. Sorry about that. Good. Okay. So I made a small version, and that is for me basically to practice, but I don't really mean for it to practice. I want to experience this process in a smaller format and kind of figure out what colors I want to use, what I want it to look like. So that's what we're gonna do. And I think we'll jump right to it. I'm gonna zoom in. Sorry if there's gonna be an error message, ignore it. It's a weird bug I have with my camera. I'm really not sure why it happens. But hopefully you can still hear me well. I'm gonna recheck it, retest it every once in a while. But in any case, okay, good. I can see the chat over here. Let's see who's in the house, and then we'll get to painting. Again, Dusty, how have you been? Bazo, Nina Art, and Messy Jesse. Hey, so excited to catch you live. Yeah, cool. Thank you so much for being here. Awesome. So we'll get to it. The sketch just does not include the clouds. I'll just add those. You know what? We don't even need those. I'm just gonna go for it. And let's see what we get here. Now you can't see my face, just out of simplicity's sake. I made it simple. I don't really have a good setup right now to show you my face as well in a way that is comfortable for me. So I'll just go with this. That's all you need to see anyway. Now, I'm gonna start, I think, with this nice bamboo brush. People have been asking me about it. Hey, Jacqueline, hope you're doing well. Carla, hey, finally got to be on the live cast from Massachusetts. Thank you so much. Happy you're doing well, Dusty. So I have my palette here. I have two palettes. That's how I've been painting lately, with my large Magello and with my Mission Gold palette, just using both of them. I find it fun. I sprayed a bunch of water here, and we're gonna start with, I think, the sky and mapping out just a bunch of shapes. Oh good, we have a bunch of people here today. Nancy, hey, how are you? This time works so good for me. Very grateful. Awesome, awesome. Yes. It just works better for me too because of the light here as well. Usually shifts. There's a brush hair. There we go. It usually shifts around in about an hour, and then it stops being convenient. So yeah, I'm gonna start with something for the sky. Now I don't know exactly what colors I'll be using for this one. That's exactly what I'm here to explore. So a bit of ultramarine. I have a bit of opaque paint leftovers here on the palette, which is nice. I never mind that, really. It usually looks really good anyway. My daughter's birthday is today. I need to make her a card and a cake. Cool, happy birthday. Send her my regards. Yes. And let's see, maybe a bit of phthalo in the mix. So this is a cerulean, this is an ultramarine, and a bit of phthalo. I like to play around with a bunch of colors, see what looks good. And then I'm gonna use my other brush. Or you know what, I can just pre-wet the entire paper. Not actually pre-wet it, just spray some water. That's another thing I like doing. By the way, if the sound goes out or anything happens, just let me know. And I'll look into any issues. Because I'm on my, again, painting desk here. So the way I'm gonna start with this one is just slowly, we'll let it happen. So I love this soft edge around here. We can use that for a cloud. So let's kind of map out, maybe there's a cloud here on the top. And then you see around here, we're gonna get another cloud. The trick with clouds is getting them to look natural, organic, fun. I'm gonna add some more water in there. And you can also, of course, tilt it a bit, help the paint move. Try and create some interesting patterns. So this is almost, practically speaking, wet and wet. The only difference is, again, if you look at my paper, it's not fully wet. Let me catch the light. There we go. It just has small wet sections in it. Now there was a bit of red here, regrettably, on my board. I don't know how it got there. I've never noticed. I don't think it's there probably from the last painting process, so I'll have to be careful. Now I do want to combine the soft edges with some hard edges, and I am noticing a few grays within the clouds. So let's see if I kind of put in a bit of more of a gray mix here by adding a bit of this warmth. Let's see what this will look like. Now, of course, this should also be a smooth transition. So something like that, just starting to build it up. Nothing is still, we're not committing to anything here, and that's the fun part. And then I'm gonna soften that up a bit. And I think we'll kind of add another cloud here. Really low, like so. And well, we're gonna soften some of the edges. I think I can just honestly inject some water in there and let it do its thing. Like this. I'm gonna close off that gap. Now the one thing I do want to address is how the sky, it's not gonna be dark enough that way. So I'm going to strengthen it a bit. Is that Ruth crying? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm imagining. So I'm gonna grab a bit of stronger paint. let's see here. I have to be gentle with this step, because I don't want to destroy whatever is working here. So very gently, I'm just adding some strength to it. See, this is very similar to my Antarctica process, where kind of go in with what's there. The sky is an important feature of this painting, and I do want to show it, which is why I am taking a bit of a care in how I do this section in particular. Now, once we got the sky in, I think we can spread out to some large shapes. So one of the biggest shapes I see here is this building here on the right. Now, I'm going to just start with what I have here. I want to show you how I'm building it up from this whatever weird teal green. I'm going to add some warmth to it. Of course, I can clean it and then continue, but I kind of like it. So that's what we'll do. And I'm gonna, after the sky, I'm gonna take a break and see kind of what you're talking in the chat, what you're saying. Lollipop Strawberry, hey, how are you? What color I'm using? So I mentioned the blues. Now I'm using a bit of yellow ochre. I'm adding it to my existing mix. Now it looks green, right? So I'm gonna add a bit of red, and we'll test it out. And I think that is pretty similar to this building here. So I'm gonna slowly add that building in. I don't have much of a plan here. I know some people are against that. Some teachers also will be against that. You know, I like to explore. That's how I like to paint. I'm gonna add a bit of ultramarine there to the bottom. It looks like there's a bit of a coolness there. And then I'm gonna go back to my warmth and even add a bit of red. Like so. And we'll slowly build it up. Now, we're not committed to any large areas necessarily. What I'm doing is basically jumping from the sky to this area. That's the one thing that I'm doing here. I do want to add a bit of coolness here, just very gently. Let's see if this is gentle or if it's going to be too much. You know what? I think that's okay. Just a bit of it. Now back to the warmth, more yellow ochre to kind of neutralize this purple. But we also need, this is a little too yellow, so I'm gonna add a bit of blue and we're off to the races. Again, I'm not committed to this being a large wash that comes across and covers everything. I'm just kind of working every step at a time. So if I reach this area, the area below, underneath it, is going to be quite dark. See here, this is just a black color. So I can start switching over to some darks. I actually don't have much neutral tint left here, so I'm going to have to make it work and make the most out of it. I don't remember if I have any more tubes. I'll probably need to purchase new ones. Let's see what we can get here. And you see this, I'm just taking my time, working from one shape to another to another. And it's okay to have breaks. It's okay that one part I stop there and the paint, maybe a hard edge will be created. That's okay. As for the brush, this is from Michael Soloviev's set of brushes. You can find it on Amazon. It's a really wonderful brush. I like it a lot, very versatile. You can achieve a lot with it. Yeah, highly recommended. Or if you can find a similar one, I think it doesn't have to be this specific one, but ones with similar features, kind of a shape that allows a lot of different mark making. I have to darken these spots here. There's some dark windows there. I'm going to add a bit of blue to this to make these windows a little cooler. Then we have one large window around here, and we actually have this kind of a warm sign that I can just kind of sneak in there real quick. Yes. Now back to the darks. A bit more of that. There's quite a strong shadow here all across the building, and I'm just trying to figure out where to place it. There's this tree, it's practically a shadow. I'm going to add a bit of warmth to it. here. Yeah, and let me know again if there's any issues visually, auditorily, because I may miss it. And yeah, feel free to ask questions. Again, I'm going to address everything between the washes, so to speak. There's a figure here, there's a person. I'm not too worried about what's going on here, really, in this small area. I'm more concerned with the overall shape. So now I need a little blue. So I'm going to grab blue and some darkness to it. And I'm going to apply it to these little areas here. Because this is not paper white. Maybe this is a little paper white. But yeah, it's not really that paper white. I'm going to add a bit of warmth, go back to some yellow ochre as we move down towards the floor. Honestly, the bike, it's going to be a big headache. I'm not going to try and get those to look very real. I'm going to do most of this with that same brush. I'm not going to switch to a smaller brush here. Just don't really feel like it. You know, whatever impression is created here is fine. This is more of an exploration. And you know, if you recognize a shape here and there, then I'm super happy. If you can tell there's a person, there's a bicycle, there's something, I am pleased. And then there's this kind of lower shadow behind everything. We have these little, I don't know what you'd call these poles, things that stop you from coming up with the car over the sidewalk. And yeah, that looks pretty neat. Some cast shadows there. And we do have some more darks here. And let me add a bit of coolness to them. I do see a bit of blueness here. What's cool about this brush is you can get a lot of, again, different shapes in very easily. Now you're gonna lose a bit of control once we're talking about, you know, really small shapes. It's not really meant for tiny details necessarily, but you know, I'll do my best here. Saksham asks, are you a full-time YouTuber? I wouldn't say I'm a full-time YouTuber, but I am a full-time artist. Yes, I do a lot more than just YouTube videos. But it is my bread and butter. It's how I started, and it is something that takes up a lot of my time to this day. But yeah, I don't know if I can define myself as just a YouTuber. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that I do so many other things that I'm hesitant to just simplify it to a YouTuber. And you know, full-time YouTubers, they do a lot of crazy things. They put in a lot more effort, quite honestly, into their content than me. You know, editing and doing more daring photography, more daring content in general. And I'm pretty much just a sort of teacher, I guess you could say. So yes, now I'm gonna warm it up a bit. You can see there's a bit of warmth there in the distance, and that's gonna connect very nicely to this shape that's a little farther. Now the sky isn't fully dry, but it doesn't matter at this stage because it's dry enough so that my paint won't reawaken it, and it's even if I reawaken some of it, it's really okay. I'm trying to interpret the shape I see. So all of the left side of this building is in a bit of a cool shadow. So you see I'm kind of encapsulating that here. I can zoom in a second. Let me just kind of figure out what I'm doing here. Then I'll try and show you the details a little better. Here we have some a brush hair and some very thin kind of details. I'm gonna make it a point to just use this brush for the entire process. I don't know why. I'm just enjoying it. Yeah, of course there's a million details here on the wall. Below it, we have a bunch of windows here. I love this street. It's a really, really nice street, and it is a scene I want to make a big, impressive piece of. So that's something I'm quite looking forward to. Now I do see there's this red awning, something like that. Underneath it, we have a strong shadow, of course. So we'll capture that in. I'm kind of negative painting around all of these, you know, street lights, lamps, different details. There we go. Some of these details are kind of gray. They're not too light, not too dark, like this here. It's just a gray. I can put that in, something like that. And let's get a bit of those trees there on the left. I'm gonna make them quite dull, barely a green, right here. Barely a green. Now what you'll notice is this picture almost looks like there's a filter applied to it. The reason is it's taken from inside the car. So it's through the glass, which makes it look a little, I would say, green. Just very gentle green. I like that. I tried doing some color correction. It wasn't as fun. So I like it better this way. Let's take a break, see what you're saying in the chat there. So maybe I can even, let me see here. If I go here, can I do this? No. It's okay. We're gonna stay at the desk. I can say hi like this. You'll see me. But yeah, so I finished with the background. We're gonna move on to this left side, the right side background. Of course, we're gonna move into the left hand background and the car. You'll see once we start putting in some elements, it's gonna read really, really well. Here are some details up close. I think a big part of it is the car and the road. The road itself has to be dark for the car to appear light. That's very important here. Let's read some of your comments again. Jacqueline says, I learned how to paint with watercolor from YouTube. Yes, indeed, same here. Shruti, which brush is it? Mentioned that. Carla, what paper are you using? This is a Saunders Waterford 300 gram cold press. Jacqueline, I love how your palette looks like every color is black. I have a messy palette and try to encourage my students to mix up colors. I think some are worried to ruin their colors. Yes, indeed. And it's not really black, it's just, it dries so mucky, you know. Lollipop Strawberry, can you do a video of warm and cool color using watercolors? Yes, I have a couple of these actually. One of my most successful videos is like a warm and cool cityscape scene. Highly recommend you watch it. I'm making the most out of temperatures there. And by the way, these aren't going to be paper white too. I'm going to probably cover some of the buildings, this building up. I may leave it white, we'll see. I feel like there's a bit of a hint of a color there. We'll figure it out. Hey Laura, good morning. Or afternoon. I think it's morning there, right? And Marjorie, hey, how are you? My name, how are you doing? John's Art, good morning, Liron. Cityscapes are not my thing, but looking forward to watching. Yeah, no worries. You can learn a lot from different things that aren't your usual. I find them interesting. Yeah, so let's continue. So we have the car here. I want to start establishing a base or basis for the car. So what we can do is paint the road. So I'm gonna get all the coolness, everything I have here from the side. It's a nice neutral gray, a bit more cool, and I think we're good. So I'm gonna paint the road. It's gonna look maybe a little strong, but it's probably gonna be all right. So there we go. I'm gonna negatively paint around the car's white body and carefully go around the sidewalk. Let's move this a bit. It's been a while since I did a demo live, not a pre-recorded thing, so I've been really looking forward to it. This here is actually our car, so I'm gonna add a bit of warmth. It's kind of a champagne weird. Oops, I got a lot of green there somehow, probably from the neighboring well. And I'm gonna use this weird mucky yellow thing to get that champagne color. I know it's a little exaggerated, but these exaggerations can actually make things look a little better. Now, of course, it's not as strong because it is reflecting some light from the environment, and there's a lot of things going on there. Let's add a bit of a kind of quinacridone rosy color to neutralize the green a bit. And I'll kind of make the lower part a little warmer. And then I think as we move to the side, I would like to get some more coolness in. Make this car a little more interesting. The car in the foreground, that is. There we go. A bit more strength, of course. There you have it. And we do have some details here. That would be the wipers thing, whatever. I'm gonna place that in. If it reads well, it reads well. That's fine. And this can sometimes happen. I'm gonna close that gap. And I think we can continue with the road. So for the road, I'm gonna need it neutral again, but a little lighter, and I would say a little warmer. So there we go. Like so. And you see, I'm navigating my way around a scene. I don't really care about what I paint first necessarily. It's not as important. What I will do here, though, is make use of this opportunity to get the shadow under the car while this area is still wet so that I can get a good transition. So it looks a little on the cool side. So that's going to be my mix, a bit of coolness. Start with that. Let's see how this ends up looking. Gotta be a little careful in these sections. There we go. So we got a bit of a shadow under the car. Now, it has to be stronger. I know it looks strong. It's never strong enough. So we have this diagonal line there. I think this will do it. Now I'm gonna have to switch over to a bit of a gentler brush here because I would like to include this gentle transition already while the shadow is wet. So this is a bit of a high risk move. Oops, see, touch the street, that's fine. You're not gonna see it later on, don't worry. Water, just clean, good water. That's gonna make things rise a little bit. I can even help it move a little more upwards, like so. I like that kind of an effect. I don't mind it at all. I think it looks pretty nice. And we'll let that sit, I think, for now. Let's grab a bit of very light pale paint here for I want to show how there's a bit of a highlight by painting around it. It's very gentle, barely visible, but I want to include it. Now, for the car's tail lights, I quite like the way they look. So I'm going to try something out here. There's this neutral feeling to some of it. Here, kind of neutral warm, and then we're gonna surround it with a bit of a stronger red. There's a bit of orange there. There's a bunch of stuff. I don't want to overcomplicate the taillights in this particular process. I'm gonna make them much more complicated in the larger version. That's my plan. But for now, we're gonna keep it simple. I'll actually add a bit of Pyrrole Scarlet here, make it warmer in this section right here, and probably a bit more water. Some parts of it need to be lighter. Now, because the car is a big part of the focal point, it is a place worth devoting some attention to in my vision, which is why I am gonna spend a bit more time on it. Let's get the other side as well. These taillights are always among the things I find a little trickier to get right. Like this. There are some nice highlights there around the pattern of the taillights. I kind of like it. Then as we get to the a bit of a higher sections here, it does go darker, but I can do that later on. I think the left taillight ended up a little better for now. Now I do want to darken the frame very carefully, so especially underneath on the lower part here. There we go. Again, don't hesitate to ask any questions. I will see them as I paint. I am seeing the chat. And yeah, this is about experimentation. I wondered what kind of an approach I want to take for this one, if I want to be a little more loose and crazy, or if I want to go a little more accurate. I think what ends up happening usually is a kind of a hybrid approach. Usually it's not this, not that, it's never an extreme, some kind of an in-between solution. So yeah. That's good. Let's get the license plate in. I'm gonna use, see I have some open spots on the palette. I'm gonna clean it in a second, I think, but yeah, so we have this kind of a thing. Oops, touched the taillight. I have to be more careful. It keeps happening. So we have this bit of blue here, and then we have a bit of yellow. I'm gonna clean a spot right around here. It's good enough. Yeah, I know I'm messy, that's fine. And I'll get this yellow. I don't mind them touching and mixing a bit here on the left side. It's part of the grace. Maybe add a bit of that brighter yellow as well. There we go. I would probably merge it with the shadow above. So let's just grab everything we have here. We got a red. So let's add a bit of blue and yellow. And got an orange, I think. That's going to be our shadow above the license plate. I can do this. I don't have to work hard. Keep having to remind myself I'm allowed to do it even while filming, because I always forget. There we go, and tilt it back so it won't move too much up there. Now, as we add more details, you'll see it starting to work. Right now, it's still, there's not enough. We don't have the windshield. We don't have any of that. Gonna improve in a second. Let's see, Jan's art. One of the greatest lessons of doing cityscapes is editing, learning to paint the essentials without getting lost in excessive details. Definitely a skill. Yes, it is true. Lovely Lily, it is nice to see you. Can find the color easily. It's so hard for me. Yeah, you know, that takes also just getting used to your own palette. It's fine if you aren't able to orient yourself as easily around my own palette. I think what's more effective is to learn to do it for your own colors. Yes. Yassine, do you prefer darkening the color with its darker version or something like Payne's gray and neutral tint? Yeah, it really depends. If it's very dark, the color doesn't matter as much. I'll use a neutral tint. But if it's mildly dark, I'll probably start with the version of that same color. It also depends on what it looks like in the scene. Sometimes it will look like a very saturated dark version, then I have to try with the color. Because if I go too dark, I'm gonna lose the impression. So it really very much depends on the situation. But I'll do both. Really depends on, you know, what things look like in the reference photo and in my vision, I would say. So now we're gonna get this bit of a greenish feeling color, and I am going to, sometimes I like doing it this way. I'm gonna paint in what looks to be a little lighter, and then I'm gonna come back with a darker paint and paint around it. That's just an effective way I found for me to do it personally. So now I'm gonna come back with some dark paint, a little carefully though. I left some gaps just to, you know, to have some room for error. And I'm gonna add in the darks around what I put in earlier. I may have to darken the whole thing later, we'll see. And there's this wiper thing, gotta be careful about that. This is dark. Yes, it indeed starts to work. But still not fully there, the impression. It's going to take time. Now, sometimes you'll paint something and you'll realize it wasn't a good subject to begin with. Now, good is, again, subjective for you. It may have not been a good subject, and that's fine. Sometimes you'll have a strong vision, but still, in the end, it won't look like the thing you were hoping for it to look like. That is fine, too. It is very personal and in the moment. You'd be surprised at how often it's just in the moment, can't really control it. So yeah. Now I do want to grab a bit of that same blue from earlier, on it only a bit stronger. Let's see if I can kind of push it to be darker without changing it too much. And here we're gonna have that kind of a light there. I'm gonna add it later on. I think for now that's good enough. You want to see how easily I'm going to put down that logo for the car? Let me show you. What looks good about this logo is that the top part you can see, but as we move down, it starts to disappear because the light kind of hits it. So I'm going to place it in, make the top a little more visible than the bottom. I think that's enough to create an impression. And yeah, let's let the car rest for a moment and work on some of the background. Now I'm going to start with the biggest shape I see here, which is this thing here. Can you see it? Yes, you can see it. Now I like to just reset like this. I'm going to mix everything I already have in the well, and we'll end up with pretty much the color I need in this case. Maybe just a little cooler. Oh, maybe a little ultramarine as well. Let's see here. Yep, that works. So this entire thing is fairly dark. Again, we're almost looking at it through a blue filter, or a green filter rather, because we're looking through the car window. That is fine. Now underneath that thing, we do have a darker version of that same color, so I'm just adding black. It's significantly darker, and I already have a gray color to begin with, so I don't have to think about it too much. However, here we have something interesting going on. So we have some kind of a cool version of dark. So the one next to the tree is the red, so I'm just going to place that down, kind of red-ish. Probably need a bit more red so it shows. Then the next one is red. There's some graffiti on there. I don't like it as much. Sometimes I like graffiti. This one does not work for me. I'm just gonna ignore it for now. And I'm gonna go back and add in a bit more of a neutral. So red, we're gonna use a bit green. I'm gonna use green to neutralize it just directly from my palette, the green I have. Let's see if that works. So now it's a bit of a icky brown color, a bit green still. Add a bit of red to it. Actually, that works, you know. Let's add a bit of blue, and I think we've got something that works. So this is gonna be the in-between. See, there's an endless ways of painting these things, you know. But I like to sometimes just place the things. Place this, 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 and then the in-between. I like to paint that way. Now the lower part's a little darker, and I'm gonna paint around these, what do you call these, chess pieces almost, that are on the other side as well. Something like that. I do feel an obligation to darken this section up, so I'm gonna be careful, but I may get some backgrounds, that's fine. So that should be darker, all the way to here. We do have the tree. Let's see if I can get the tree in one go while the building itself is still a little wet. So I'm just gonna use this clean yellow. I know the tree's a little bit of a stronger green, but I want it to show. So we'll do this. As we get to the upper sections, gonna use that same green I had. I'm gonna add a bit of phthalo to it, and let's see if we can create the feeling of a tree here. Yeah, this brush is pretty much good for everything. You can get any pattern you want with it. You can squish it a little more, just to get a bit more of a random feel. I'm not usually a big fan of doing these things, but sometimes it works. I have a bit of a lemony yellow there. Let's get more of that actually in the mix. I like it. This goes up all the way there, and you know, a few random spots of leaves. Now you'll notice the tree does have some shadows on it. You see, while it's still wet, I just keep working it. So for example, we have some strong shadows here. Let me get those shown, like so. Let me bring back some of the yellow that we have lost. This should be much, much lighter. I'm just going to use more yellow ochre to beat whatever got erased there. Let's see what you're saying. Suhita, oh, sorry, this is Chinese calligraphy brush, but the brand I'm not sure. Yeah, this is Michael Soloviev's watercolor brush. If you search for his set on Amazon, you'll find that, among others. So let's see, there is a cast shadow on the ground here that I'm going to place in. It's casting by the tree, maybe, I'm not even sure. So that goes here, connects to the tree. By the way, today we won't talk too much after the stream. We're just exhausted for this week. So most of the stream is going to be the painting part. So if you do have any general questions as well, feel free to ask them. It would be a great time during the painting, or even a bit after I'm done. And what I mean is basically it's not going to be a super long conversation afterwards. So yeah, so we got these little pieces in. We have another one here, but to really bring them out, we can wait for the right timing to add in some black, but let me show you. You see, it's still very wet, so if we want to darken some spots there, that is a necessary thing here. We're gonna have to wait just a little bit, be a little patient for a few moments, and when the timing is right, we're gonna strike. In the meantime, I want to establish this bit of shadow, I would say here. So I'm going to try something different. I'm going to place in the entire shadow. And after I have that in, I'll try pushing some of the sections to be more red. In this example, some of them are a little more red, and the others are just going to stay gray. Let's see here. Just a little stronger. There we go. And from above, the part that is kind of exposed to light is going to be this kind of a thing. And I think that'll work for now. We can start darkening significantly some areas within. So I do see, and if you are able to be a little patient, look at a more zoomed in way, you will find these opportunities to darken specific small sections and bring out a little more interest in these different details. Like the cast shadows are a little stronger. I would say the shadow behind is a little stronger, so I could just gotten that darker earlier, but that's fine. And the more of these things that you kind of get, the more the impression is just beginning to appear. Let's see here, a bit of this. And I'm very well aware that a lot of the things I left white are not white. Don't worry, we're gonna fix that. There's nothing really to fix, we're just gonna add to them. So now I need a bit of a cool color here. And we're gonna get the shadows on the other side of the tree. There's a lot of things going on there. There's a person too. We just don't have room to get all of that in the painting in this size. You will be able to see it in this version. There's a person here. So yeah, for anyone who joined late, this is almost a preparation for a larger painting I'm doing. I don't really need preparation. Most of my paintings are done the first go. I don't really do multiple versions. But I don't know, it felt like something fun to paint, so I said, why not? We'll paint a smaller version together, see what happens. Maybe it will prepare me for like what colors I want to use and all sorts of things like that. So yep, now let's get, I want the same color, just very light, to indicate that this wall is not white from behind here. There's, I don't know, there's something going on there. There's so much going on here, honestly. You can't really show everything. Hey Megan, how are you doing? Hello everyone, hi Liron. I made it to stream because I'm on vacation. Feels good to watch you paint live. Awesome, enjoy your vacation. I really need one. Feels like. Let's see here. I'm gonna have to clean this up because I need some cleaner worms. Now I'm honestly not sure about if the result matches my impression and vision that I kind of had to start with. I'm gonna have to let this one sink, if I'm being honest with you. Some paintings, they just show up. This one still hasn't fully showed up for me in that way. I mean, I can see some places where I'm accurate and it looks good, some places where I'm not as accurate, or could use some improvement, but in terms of the overall impression, it's not how I was hoping for it, and that doesn't have sometimes anything to do really with the execution on your part. That's one thing you'll notice maybe. For me, I definitely notice it. I can feel really good about the way I painted, and even the result. I can feel good about the result, but it just won't be what I envisioned. That can happen quite often, which is fine. So we do have this dark window behind here, dark, I don't know, balcony, whatever. And yeah, that leads us further back where there's some details and buildings, and that's fine. There are a few windows, so let's put in some of those. And there's a lot, I mean, there's still a lot, right? I'm just kind of adding in things at my own pace. A big feature for this painting will be all the wires, cables, stuff running through the scene. That is something I'm fairly excited about capturing. So we'll see how that looks. And here we have a bit of a tree there in the distance. Could do it gray. That's pretty much it. Yes, that works. Okay, let's get the shadow under the car looking the way I imagine it. So we do have this sharp shadow casting. We do have the tire, I don't know what you'd call these. They leave tracks. And then we have this, should be darker. And I'm gonna try and kind of unify it with what we've had from earlier so that there's still some flow. Not gonna be as cool as earlier, but hopefully it will still look cool. So let's see here. Something like that. This could be darker too, around here, I think. Yes, that's more like it. You can almost kind of see the tire a bit. And yeah, I think the sidewalk should be almost like the street, actually. So let's try it out. Sweeta, what I love about your approach, the process seems like a great journey in itself. Exactly. That really is what it is, you know? The results are a byproduct. The results are a byproduct of your creation. If you have a certain amount of freedom to it, it will show in the result. And that's kind of what I am aiming for. See, the sidewalk should be darker. That's more like it. Just tone it down a little. Look at how much it made the highlights feel a little more important. Same goes for this side, by the way, maybe lighter and a little warmer. But still. This entire side, gonna cover it up. and it's gonna anchor it a bit. There we go, just a bit. We do have the shadow underneath here. This is gonna be a very interesting section in the larger painting. I have some nice plans for it, but for this smaller version it's not as visible, so that's fine. I do have a vision for how I want the sidewalk in particular to look in the larger piece though. There's gonna be a nice gap here for a highlight. It's just there's not enough room to show it here. And you know, I think we're close. So let's see. Let's start filling in some gaps. So the building on the top left corner, I do feel a bit of warmth. Let's just get something warm in there. Like this. And with a hint for some of these windows there, see? It's a very lazy way of doing it, but it works. This building on the right, I really feel like it's not white. So let's see if just dumbing it down with a bit of blue works for us. There's still the cool stuff to add, like the signs and the different details. I'm saving those for later. I do recognize some areas of just warmth in this building on the left. So let us get those in there as well. Just to make it not look so sterile. See, putting down all of these colors really brings a lot of fun to the car. Now this could be darker, this could be darker. Honestly, I kind of like it, so I'm not gonna touch these for now. Let's work on some of these street signs. The traffic signs, street signs, whatever. So there are quite a bit of these. I'm gonna start somewhere. So we have the most prominent one probably. It's just a bunch of darks with a big red dot down the middle. Honestly, there's not much to it. This goes around here. Same for this one. We can, you know, paint those in now and then add the red that's in it. There's another one in the distance here. This is a good opportunity to just add some darks if I see them. So I do see some darks, in fact, here in this building. So this kind of an, I don't know what it is. Looks like a bit of an awning thing. That should be darker. Like so. All of these small things will anchor the scene a little better. There's a window here. There's a bit of more darkness right around here. It was still wet somehow. I don't know why this area was wet just now. A bit of these details in. Oh yeah, I just painted it with the blue. Bit of these details in here. There's a bit of shadow under this balcony here. Again, this is a small version. You won't be able to show everything here. That is fine. I'm fine with that. It's just to give you a taste of the entire thing and make you think, okay, cool. Like, what could this look like in full size? I do see a bit of, you know, a hint of color here. So let me see what this will look like if I just add a bit of darkness to this area. Ironically, I could have done it really well a couple of seconds ago when I placed that part of a wash, but that's fine. And then right around here it gets a little lighter. So this will give it some more depth. Can you tell how it's not fully white? If I sample the color, it's probably a bit green. Just a bit though. You don't want to go too strong here. Like this. Just to give it a bit of volume and character, I suppose. And around here it feels like it kind of shifts back to light. I think maybe there's a bit of a shadowy area there. Don't worry, I'm gonna add more details to it and make more sense. There's a bit of a shadow here, I think, something like that. The size here should be a little stronger, so this, right? It's a little darker. Same here, I would say. There we go. So these small things, they are noticeable. There's actually, the car got a little bit of a dent there, but I don't have to paint that in. Let's switch over to a small brush. This is the Levinson Small Brown Synthetic Brush, which I love. And you can find links to, by the way, all the tools I use in the description box below, including this brush. Anything you buy there. There are some affiliate links, which means if you buy through them, I get a bit of a commission. You pay the same price. Just disclosure. It is written in the description too. So here we go. This should be a little darker. Let me add a bit more water there. There we go. Just a very gentle mark. Here it's still wet, so I don't want to mess that up. Yeah, we have this here. And this very gentle. We do have the brake light. So that should probably be kept quite light. So I'm going to use Pyrrole Scarlet, but water it down a bit. And we'll see what it looks like. Something like this for now. I don't want to go too dark there. I can then envelope it with a bit of a darker paint. Oh yeah, and I can already use that same color to get these lights. We have this light, we have that light. And you know, these small colors, I like to just look at the whole thing, and if I recognize, or I think I recognize, or I dream I recognize, I'm going to place it down. Same with this nice orange I have here. Or maybe I'll mix my own orange, that'll be better. With a bit of the yellow ochre. If I see anything like this orange sign here about the construction work, you know I'm going to place that in. There's probably more. There's a lot of construction going on there. You can just get away with honestly just doing this here and there. It will still look good. It's so funny how that works. Let's see, what else? This building kind of still feels like, you know, anchor me to the painting, it asks. So let's just do this. Feels like it's not anchored. We do have a bunch of blues. So a bit of my cobalt turquoise here and a bit of phthalo blue together will give me the blue I need for these lights here. Probably need them to be a little stronger. There we go. And if I recognize any other blues, I'm gonna place those in. Too many highlights here. I'll probably mute that down just a bit at the price of some of the details I placed in there. I need the highlights to be mostly the car. Anything else that's a highlight is a diversion. So I will get just a bit of that same ochre, kind of neutralized, and look at what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go over everything that's paper white here and turn it into a warm-ish highlight. That was something I knew I'll probably have to do at some point. So it just makes it part of the scene. Again, big parts of this are very loose and very imaginative. You know, it's very, whatever you see there is there. The rest is really not that important. Just a bit more of these branches. They have to show. They can't be too light. There we go. And if you've missed a few gaps in them, you can always add those in. Either with opaque paint, or you can just go ahead and grab something like this, you know. Now, I could go over this and start recognizing different areas that aren't strong enough, aren't light enough, all of that. This isn't really meant to be this kind of a process here. It's just an exploration of the overall feel of the scene. And I think we got it, you know. If I do want to kind of polish that up, I could. I could, for example, I do recognize that this wall here, let me show you. It should be warmer. So I can just kind of mix with whatever I have here. warm but still quite dark, and I can just fix it like so. Very gently cover the whole thing up, and then switch over to some clean water, just kind of smoothen that out. Then the top ceiling part, almost ceiling here, looks a little cooler, and even I would say a bit violet-y. So I'm gonna grab that violet and I can just kind of fill in the blanks with a bit of a lighter version. Same kind of a thing going on here, and then I can fill in the blanks with a bit of water. Or, you know, I could do none of that, and that will still look fine. Again, this is, you have options. You can do it however you want. You could leave it as it was, right? But I think this improved it a bit. And I think we are pretty much done. Let me do this here, and I'll scan it for you, and I'll show you kind of the end result as well. There's a bit of a thing here. Not even sure what it is. And then we have the sensors, reverse sensors. We do have numbers, of course, but that, you know, just invented. A bit of text here and there. I would darken the top here a bit to make the bottom look lighter. And I think one thing I do want to darken a bit, and then I'll look at some of your questions. I got pulled into the process pretty strongly now. Let's see, is I'm going to darken around the lights we put earlier, just to make them look stronger. That's how it's done, usually. To make the light look lighter, you make the rest look darker. And there are a few details there I kind of missed with the previous swatch. That's fine. It doesn't have to be super dark too, or super defined, you know. I'll come back with some water here and just loosen it up a bit. I don't want it to be too, I want it to be a little vague there. And yeah, I think this looks nice. One last thing that I told you is going to be a prominent part and that I forgot. All these cables running across it from one side to another. That's a pretty important feature here. And most of them seem to be here in this area. So some of them, oh yeah, we do have this kind of street light here. Some of them go up here. It's a mess, this part of town. This is not where we live, but this part of town where I took this photo, it's a mess. It's very interesting to see, though. We can add in like a street light or hint at one, just because there's, you know, there's some space to cut through all of these horizontal lines, and it could be very interesting. Some go behind here, some go closer to us. Once you have a few of these in, you get some movement, and then here's the fun part. As you know, wherever it goes dark, you can make these white. And then let me just get my gel pen working. Sometimes they need a little reminder to do their job. Everything that's in the shadow, I'm gonna kind of make, see, using highlights. Let's imagine there's another one that kind of goes in the shadow here. This we could just go ahead like this. I don't even know where it goes. Let's say it goes up. This cuts through the shadow, cuts through the shadow, cuts through the shadow. Let's add another one here. You see this big mess. I quite like it. And yeah, this is pretty much it. So let me, we'll give this a few seconds to dry. Let me sign it. Why not? I'm gonna look at some of your messages, things I missed. Should have signed it with dark paint, but that's fine. And then we'll scan it. I'll give you a good view of it. There we are. So this is it. Now we'll give this a few seconds to dry. It's an interesting scene. You know, now that I look at it, the ground is way too light. Let me fix that. That's actually important. I don't know how I missed that. The ground should be much darker, actually. That's what something was bugging me. Let's see here. A little coolness to it too. I think that would work. This should be darker, like a notch, so that the time I touch it with my finger won't make a difference too. That's a nice added benefit here. But yeah, it was bugging me, and as soon as I held it up to the front camera, I noticed. Much better. Okay, so we have a live example of how once you put a value that's off in its right place, it immediately improves the impression. That's an interesting little thing that happened here. Yeah, that's night and day, I think. That really is a big difference. I would say also the shadow to the side here. This shadow, I could have just kind of got that down in one go. That should be darker. That should be darker than the street, so I'll at least go over it. This is not white. It's kind of a dirty color. Same here, I would say. Again, I don't have much room for details there, but yeah, that's much better. That's much better. Let's see here if there's anything else in that same vein that kind of bugs me. Nothing that's too important. That was the main one, I guess. Yeah, we're good. We are good. Even my signature even survived this wash. Yeah, so here we go. This is much better. Now, I may end up going over it one more time. I'm not sure. But we'll see. So I'm going to let this dry. Actually, there's a bit of sunlight here. There we go. I'm going to let it sit in the sunlight, dry for a couple of minutes. Saksham, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Megan, it looks great, but the darker street looks better. Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Nancy, love to watch you painting and sharing your thought process. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nancy. Jan's art looks great. Thank you. And you, Dan. Hi, Liron, and the rest of the world. Thank you for being here, my friend. Hope everything is well. Yes, Marjorie. The car to me looks very close to the pavement. Low rider. No, I think maybe I messed it up, which is why it looks like that. I'm not sure. To me, it looks fine in that regard. But who knows? There's a lot to polish here, by the way. If you look at a reference photo, let me make this photo larger. You know what? Let's... I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. I'm going to add... How will I do this? I'm not sure. Never mind. I'm going to point. So this section right here, you see this entire block right there with the roof and the walls. There are dark lines between the walls, right? That's something we can add. I'll show you on the painting in a second to guide the viewer into the scene. There's a lot I haven't gotten in. I may look at this tomorrow and decide to add those in. I do recognize a bit of orange in the taillights as well. That's another thing for sure I want to include. This taillight above there, that has a bit of orange to it. I haven't noticed this one before. I'll probably include that too. Again, the larger painting is going to be much more in the vein of the large piece I just finished, Need a Ride. It was Need a Ride, yes. The large painting I shared on Instagram, I shared it as part of a grid. It's going to be pretty much in the same vein. Very detailed, very slow and patient. See the dimensions here. There's much more room for details. I will actually try and get all of these details a little more visibly. There's a person there. I don't know if you can see. Is it right here? There's a mother and a child, I think. And on the other side, there's another person walking. We'll see how it goes. Again, sometimes these paintings don't end up looking the way you want them to, even though you haven't done anything wrong per se, but I just have a good feeling about this one. Maybe I'll simplify it more. Maybe I'll do a first wash that's a little overarching. I'll figure it out. I feel like I need to get rid of more of the paper white. So maybe I'll do an overarching wash that covers everything but the car and kind of sets the stage just very gently. We'll see. We'll see about that. Now, I do have an allergy to sky that has a lot of clouds in them sometimes. So that's one thing I'll have to figure out if I do want to include or not. I like the way it turned out here. Sometimes it looks a little cliche to me, so I'm not sure I will. We'll see. So yeah, that was like an hour and 15 minutes of just the painting process. It took a while, I guess. Surprising. Let's see. Ninart, thank you so much. Jacqueline, thank you, so happy to hear. Laura, once again, I enjoyed watching your thinking process. Looking forward to seeing a larger version. Thank you. Did I read this one? I don't remember. Megan, Liron, I hope all is well. Since I was last active here, I got a dog and bought a house. We are moving next week. Congratulations. Hopefully then I can paint more, because right now my dog likes to sabotage me. In what way? How does your dog sabotage you? Yeah, maybe we'll have a Ruth visit today. I don't know. She's chilling somewhere in the sun, probably. She loves direct sun. Mary, that's great to watch. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mary. Buzzo, what's in your cup? Yeah, that's an interesting... What's on my cup? So this is an apartment we're subleasing, so this isn't mine. Even if it was here, it's Marvel. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, cool. What am I going to find else on it? And I knew it's going to be the most normie Marvel cup you can think of. Because usually that's the ones you find everywhere. It's very uncommon to. It's very. I don't know. Maybe it's a niche item, but it looks to me like a very generic Marvel cup. It's very hard, I find, to find merch that isn't generic here specifically, and Tel Aviv in general, of Marvel, that is. But yeah, so this is on. Now in, I have cranberry juice. This is water, not vodka, if anyone thinks that way. And here I have coffee. I'm just accumulating. I'm accumulating drinks throughout the day. They don't leave the studio, they just stay here with me. Marjorie, maybe cars where I live because of snow need to have more street clearance. Yeah, that could be it. Most cars look like that here. This is just, what is it, a Toyota Auris, A-U-R-I-S. I don't even know if that model's, available everywhere. Usually we get weird models. Jill, hey, hope you're doing well. With the frog emoji, love it. Floppy Bobby, hey, welcome aboard. Let's go. I'm assuming I missed most of the painting. I just got here. Yeah, no worries. You'll be able to watch it after the fact. Let me show you. Put it on the ground. I threw it on the ground, if anyone remembers. The old Lonely Island, were they called? This is the painting. I will show you a scan in a second. We're going to scan it. Now, if you want to be brave, one thing we could try. Let me ask you. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but do you want us to try something courageous? Do you want us to try something a little strange, courageous, brave? Think it through for a couple of seconds, then let me know. If you do, we'll do something. We'll do something with this. But let me know. I have an idea. Maybe a crazy idea, maybe a bad idea, but we'll see. Wait, I missed a couple. Marjorie, yes, already read that. John, I always love watching these live painting processes. It's amazing that you achieve what you achieve in about an hour, answering questions, talking, and painting. Thank you, John. Thank you so much. Yes, it's the one thing I kind of know how to do, so I'm happy about it. Thank you once again, Nancy. Master of multitasking, yes, I guess. When it's these things, I can. I'm so bad at multitasking with other things. Again, my dog eats everything. He especially loves fabrics and paper towels. So when I paint, he is just all... Oh, yeah, that's funny. So he eats everything. This is mine. I will take this now. Yeah, we got lucky with Ruth. She never destroys anything. I don't know why. One time we came back home and she was chewing on a shoe. They were like, no, you can't do that. She never have done that since. She does have a lot of toys kind of thrown around, so she has stuff to chew on, but it's funny. We got lucky there. It's not a result of our education. Bazo, I only saw a person of the cup and thought it was a character from elsewhere. Yeah, I don't... Is that supposed to be Black Widow? I don't know. I have no idea. Is that supposed to be Scarjo? I don't know. Yes, let's do something courageous. Flobby Bobby, that way you'll get to see some of the process too. Gabriel, hi, just want to ask, do you think it's possible mimicking watercolor style in digital art? Thank you. I think it could be possible now that there are so many tools and AI. It wasn't up until this point. I've never seen a convincing watercolor. It's fun to try and it looks cool in its own right. You can always tell. But you know, there is no reason it won't be possible in the very near future because you can do AI videos now. You can do pretty much anything. So there's no reason. There's no reason AI won't be able to do. You know, you talk about digital art, but it's kind of the same. It's a digital tool. There's no reason AI art can't recreate a painting tutorial as well. I'll be out of my job. Manoj, hi Liron, good evening from Philippines. Thank you for being here, Manoj. Hope you're doing well. I think I haven't seen you in a while, so thank you. Nina, definitely. Okay, yeah, we'll do it. Marjorie, I'm surprised you have any mission gold paint left. I thought that you would use it up in one trip to Savannah. I guess I didn't need to worry about it. I never made it to Savannah. I ended up in ICU. Yeah, sorry about that. No, I still have a lot of them. Now, I did run through most of the colors that I really like. So if you look at this, I keep forgetting the name of it. This blue that I really, really like is gone. These two, gone. Cobalt and kind of a Prussian-like blue, gone. Yellow ochre, almost gone. All of these yellows, almost gone. So yeah, I ran through this black color here, gone. I ran through a lot of these. This one, I don't even remember what it is, gone. So yeah, I would say I'm about 30% of the palette gone for the paints that I use often. Now, I've shown you, I'm using it together with my Magello, so a lot of my staples are also here, like that lemon yellow. I think it's bismuth yellow by M. Graham. So I'm mixing it up, which is why I haven't run out of the colors yet, but I'm getting there, trust me. But I do have the other palette, so thank you so much. I won't run out of paint in general, that's for sure. Megan, this ain't my dad. Threw it on the ground. This ain't my dad. I'm not part of the system. Yeah, it is such a funny song. Flobby Bobby, I'm an adult. Yeah, everyone remembers it. It's funny. Kaiser, I love that line. I'm an adult. It's the best. We've seen, you know, we watched some Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and it took me a while. Like, we watched a full season, and I'm like, oh yeah, Andy Samberg had that thing. And then they brought one of the guys from the Lonely Island, like a cameo. One of them, I think, only was there when they were on the witness protection program. That was fun. Kaiser, what time is it there? It is 4:20 p.m. Manette, yes, everyone, been busy. Thank you for remembering me. Yeah, definitely, I remember you. So let's try doing something courageous. I'm gonna take this to the desk. Ruth is gonna bark maybe because there was a sound there. Okay, let's see. So the thing I have in mind, which may be strange, is the entire scene looks like it has a filter on. But I haven't taken that into consideration. So what we can do, it's a little crazy, but we can almost cover the whole thing up with paint. Maybe just skip the car, maybe not even skip the car. So let me see here, because I'm not sure what paint to do it with. That's the big risk here, but we can do a big risk move. I don't mind, we'll learn from it. So the question is, what color should I cover it with? Now, you know, funny enough, I feel like the sky could be stronger, like a stronger blue. I mean, you can see it, right? You can see the difference. Usually I go lighter on the sky because I find it blocks the painting a bit. But yeah, we can go a little stronger. And then I think we can just go over the whole thing with a neutral warm-ish green-yellow. It's a big risk move. Again, as I mentioned, there's no real rhyme or reason to it. There's no real reason to do it other than the photo looks like it has a filter on. But just because of that, like, it may end up working and uniting the whole thing. So again, the tricky bit is figuring out what color to cover it with. It's not necessarily even a big difference. You can cover it up with a very neutral color. It doesn't have to be strong. I tend to like warms, so maybe warm it up a bit. but still keep it quite light. This is a big risk move, but just to show you, you can paint over existing layers, you can do these experiments, it's fine, you won't ruin the thing, and even if you have, who cares? Let's just go for it. Let's see. Now, the thing is, when you do that kind of a thing, you can't really stop midway, you have to cover the whole thing up. That's the tricky bit. So I'll probably have to cover the whole thing up, and we'll see. The best I can do is to, yeah, I kind of like it. The best I can do is to mix, yeah, now I have to cover the sky, I guess. The best I can do is maybe to adjust my mix midway, but I can't do much more than that. I'll have to cover the whole thing up once we get started. Now, I think I'll have to cover the car as well, because it's part of the filter look. So even though I'm going to smear some of the paint, even though it may look strange, I'm going to have to do it, you know? And there we go. So now we have a bit more of a filter look. Now, probably the car was not a good idea just because now it looks too dark. So let me try and salvage some of it. That's fine. I could, you know what? I could just lift. So we'll just do this, and we have separated the car essentially from the filter, almost fully. We did lose a bit of it, but that's fine. But now at least we do have, let's introduce some water here. We do have that feeling of a filter on the entire thing, and don't forget it's going to dry much lighter. And I should have probably shared a scan before doing this big risk move, but you know, that's how I usually tend to do it in live streams. I tend to just go for it. So there we go. So let's let this dry, this whole thing. I think what would have been better is to cover the sky with a strong blue, but that usually doesn't work for me. Let's let this dry. I think I haven't covered the lower section, but that's fine, it's too late for that. Let's let it dry and then I'll scan it for you and you'll see. I think it looks quite cool. There we go. Put it in the sun. Threw it on the ground. Yeah, so that's a big risk move we're taking here. I know it looks smeared and disgusting, don't worry. It's gonna look really nice once it's dry. I'm actually looking at it here, it looks pretty nice. Worst case, we learned. But what I do think I will do in the larger piece, and I wanted to share the sketch with you, give me a second. I am going to, for the larger version, maybe start in small, in a thin wash that covers everything, just because it feels like a necessity. Just for me to map out the colors. We'll see about that though. Merged. Let me show you the detailed sketch. I actually wanted to show you this at the start of the stream, but let's see. Okay, so this is gonna be the detailed sketch. I traced, of course. Let's see. I'm just gonna save a smaller, lighter file version. Image size. Okay, I got it. Now it'll just take a second to add to OBS. Image, browse, painting projects, scans, sketch. There we go. Yeah, so this is the detailed sketch for the detailed painting. I'll just place it here. So you can see this is just built to be more detailed, right? And the question is, will I approach it the same way or will I change some stuff? And I do feel like I kind of have to, maybe the sky I'll work in one go, yes, that makes sense. But the rest of it, I do have to figure out how I'm unifying them, the different sections. So we'll see. There's probably going to be an overarching wash covering everything but the car. That's probably how I'll approach it. Floppy Bobby for being courageous. Thank you so much, my friend. Really, really appreciate it. That's amazing. Thank you. Yeah, you're going to see it. It looks pretty good. It looks like a filter. It was the right call, I'm telling you. Let's see. Okay. It's gonna dry in a second. It gives it almost like an old analog camera kind of feel to it. Nina Art liked it even more now. Yeah, it's probably gonna be debatable. Some people won't like it more, I think. Nancy says cobalt blue. MD Cox that calls me handsome. Thank you so much. So yes, if I could tilt the camera and show you, it's actually quite nice there in the sun. But I'm gonna scan it in a second. I do have my trusty hair dryer in case we need to speed time up. Now let me show you the desk for a second as I blow my nose. There we go. Sorry about that. Mary, sounds of birds are just like from my childhood, so nostalgic. About covering the whole thing, I like it, and just as I was taught to make a picture look more cohesive, I guess. Yes, that makes sense. But usually you'll do this in the initial stages rather than the end, but yeah. And it's just like the painting process I've shown you not too long ago. Let me show you. This thing that I keep showing off, that was, all the warmth was painted after the fact. So this is an example where it worked out perfectly, by the way. I think I'll put this up for sale, or maybe I have. I don't think I have yet. I'll put this up for sale after the stream. Maybe should I auction? I haven't done an auction in a while. We'll see. It looks comfy. I like vintage filters. Yes, that's really cool. That's really the vibe I get from it. Okay, I'm gonna probably speed things up a bit with the hairdryer. So let me mute you for a second, which means mute myself. Just a moment. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're dry enough. Let me scan it and we'll see. Maybe just a bit more. I want to dry it a bit more. Okay, now we're good. So, seeing the scanned version is always different. So you'll see a lot of things are going to look a little different. That's a big part of the fun. Ahmed, thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you so much for being here too. Let's see. I wonder what it would look like scanned. Things always look not even necessarily closer. Well, usually it's truer to life, but not always. By the way, let me know what you've been painting and if you're working on something. Oh, I really like the way it looks. Okay. Documents. Yeah, this looks really cool. I must admit. Let me just crop the sides. It always scans with a bit of a white gap. And somehow my signature and all the white gel pen survived this whole thing. One thing I did notice is it made things a little blurrier. So that's fine. Just 1 second. Let's see if it looks close to the painting. I guess it's close enough. Always looks better in real life, though, I have to admit. Let's see here. Yes. Give me a sec. I'll show you. By the way, I see I hit 270,000. That's cool. I haven't noticed. I was hovering around the 269K for a while now. Now I see it's 270, so that's awesome. So thank you so much to anyone who's subscribed and any new people who joined. Okie doke. There we go. Browse, browse, browse. Scanned documents. There we go. Okay. So this is the final thing. Looks a little blurry. It blurred out the whole, like, all of the sides and the details, but I like it. If you want to see the real thing, there we go. Always looks better and sharper in real life, but you'll obviously see it better in the scan. But yeah, this is where we are. I wish I'd scanned it before, just so that I have a version of it before to see and compare. But yeah, I quite like this section here that will somehow survive this whole thing. And let's compare it to the reference photo. Obviously, the sky should be much, much bluer and all of that jazz. Yeah, maybe I should have used the green filter instead of yellow. Yeah. Find the differences. Yeah, actually, the original is much more green. It's interesting. So if I can actually push it to be closer to the original. Image adjustment, color balance. It's not. It looks like that's what it looks like here in front of me. I just want to see if I can push it to look more green. Highlights. Less violet, I think, mainly. There we go. A little more green. I just added it. You can barely see the difference. But yeah, no, I don't need to edit it. This is the original one. But yeah, this is it. This is kind of my preparation for this larger version. Fairly excited to see how I can get all of the wires running across. This kind of reminds me of the scene I did. How can I describe it? From up north, a place called Haifa. It was very reminiscent of that. And I tend to like these scenes, so we'll see how it goes. Let's set this one aside here. I think it looked more like I would want it to before I added that layer and the courageous decision. But I think the colors are closer to the reference photo now. So we got it closer, but farther from my vision, but that's fine. Let's see what you're saying here. Thank you, Ahmed. Jacqueline. What I love about watercolors is that it looks realistic from far away, but up close you see all the paint blooms. Yeah, exactly, in brush marks. And I wonder if I make this pick really small, yeah, it almost could look like a picture. Maybe it could look like a photo. Maybe. Some contrasts and darks should still... Again, I mentioned like this entire left side should be darker, but I'm not going to go into these depths. Just as an explorative kind of painting. And there's a divider between them, but I don't really feel like doing it in this small of a version. I'll do it on the larger piece. Marjorie, are there any parks nearby? Would love to watch you paint landscape, not cityscape. P.S. I usually even rewatch still lifes. Oh, cool. Thank you so much for that. Yes, we're actually going to move to a place with more parks, so you will be able to see more of that for sure. And I do plan on filming a plein air soon, too. Flurry Bobby, really enough, it reminds me of a memory. Like if someone asked you if you remember the moment. That's cool. Maybe I just have a bad memory. Yeah, no, paintings can evoke that. I think music does it best. Music and smell and taste, obviously, but But music can do it as well, and paintings can do it too. Jacqueline, this is what art is about, not exact, more emotions. Yes. Marjorie, it's funny that the older I got, the more I leaned to realism, but then maybe it had to do with moving to smaller houses and view my work up close. That could be it. Or it could be that you just developed more interest in details. That could definitely be it. Who knows, you know? I think in these cases, the why isn't as important as just the fact that you are compelled to do it. So I wouldn't even worry about it too much, you know. That's just what you feel like doing. I really try to go with the path of least resistance lately. You know, whatever thing I enjoy painting the most, that comes most easily to me, that's the thing I go with. That's usually how I do it. It's funny how, you know, you complimented me for being able to talk and paint, but you can definitely feel a difference in the ease and result. If I just paint, it just feels a little different. I can work really up close, like super over focused almost. And yeah, I like to obsess over small areas sometimes, but not in a bad way, not like obsession. Oh, I have to get it right. Just I like to make the most out of it. Kind of like this area under the tower. That was a big one. And I think it reads really well. It reads even better in the keep confusing sides in the scan, I think. But yeah, this is it for today. Feel free to ask any questions. We're gonna move towards wrapping it up. We'll have a bunch of shorts and reels to share over the next couple of days. I haven't yet filmed something for Saturday. We'll see if I get the chance to. Not that likely. Because I don't know how much time I'll have today and tomorrow, but maybe. But I do have a couple of short videos planned for you of previous processes, some of which not a lot of people watched, like the Antarctica one. So maybe you missed it too. It was a live stream. And yeah, this is pretty much it. If you have any kind of final questions or anything you want to share, things you work on. That's weird. Is that paint? Yeah. Okay, I thought I had a weird blood clot here. John, thank you so much for being here. Much appreciated. I'm hesitant to post another thing on Instagram because it will break the grid with the new painting. So I'm waiting on that, even though I have a couple of videos I want to post. We'll see. I like to let it cook for a while. Thank you, Flobby Bobby. Thank you, Nina Art. Thank you so much. Thank you to anyone who was here. Marjorie too, Jacqueline, Artville. It looks ugly. Well, you know, different strokes. The large version is gonna look awesome. The large version, I know, I have a good vision for it. I think I'll be able to make it closer to the reference photo, how I envisioned it. But in any case, yes, we'll wrap it up. By the way, I mentioned this painting a lot, but maybe some have not seen it. This thing, I'll try and build it slowly like this. It's about the same size, so that's kind of my benchmark. That's kind of how I'm gonna plan it around that thing. Just a different setup because the focal point here is that white car and everything around it is dark. That's the catch here. It's gonna be a bit of a different process. Usually it makes it much easier on me when I can, maybe I'll just start with the road. Usually it makes it easier on me when I can start with the focal point, but I have a strong shadow to make use of. Here I don't really have that. I just have a white focal point and dark around it. That's always a challenge, and I think if anything that would be the reason to paint some kind of an overarching wash, if that makes sense. Oh, it makes sense. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, everyone. We're gonna wrap it up for today, and maybe on Saturday, definitely next week, another video for sure. Until next time, take care, keep painting. We'll talk soon.